The vast emptiness of space has always been humanity's greatest mystery, a canvas of endless possibilities. But what if it hid something far more sinister? Something unseen but deadly? Imagine being stranded light years away from home, surrounded by nothingness, only to realize you're not alone. A crew of brave explorers ventures into uncharted territory, seeking answers to life's deepest questions. Instead, they find themselves hunted by an enemy that cannot be seen, an advanced alien race wielding technology beyond comprehension. As paranoia sets in and trust erodes, survival becomes their only goal. What lurks in the shadows is no longer just a myth. It's real, relentless, and ready to strike. Will they uncover its secrets before it consumes them all? Subscribe now to witness the chilling battle between man and the unknown. The mission began with unparalleled optimism. Humanity had reached new heights, conquering challenges once thought insurmountable. The spaceship, Odyssey Dash, gleaming like a beacon of progress, carried 6 of Earth's finest minds across the cosmos. Their destination was Kepler 452b, a distant exoplanet believed to harbor conditions similar to those of early Earth. It wasn't merely exploration, it was hope incarnate. For centuries, humans dreamed of finding another world where life might thrive. And here they were, on the brink of discovery, carrying the weight of billions behind them. Yet, as the ship pierced through the void, excitement mingled uneasily with apprehension. Each member of the crew knew the risks involved. They weren't naive adventurers. They were scientists, engineers, and pilots trained for every conceivable scenario. Or so they thought. Little did they know, their journey would take a turn into realms of terror unimaginable. The universe, vast and indifferent, held secrets darker than any human mind could fathom. Days turned into weeks as the Odyssey traversed the interstellar abyss. Routine checks, scientific observations, and maintenance tasks filled their days. Conversations about family, dreams, and aspirations kept spirits high. Yet, beneath the surface, there lingered an undercurrent of unease, a shared awareness of how fragile their existence truly was. Floating in the infinite blackness, tethered only by thin walls of metal and glass, they felt both invincible and vulnerable. Then came the first anomaly. Sensors picked up fluctuations in gravitational fields near their path. At first, it seemed like nothing more than cosmic interference, random distortions caused by celestial bodies or solar winds. But as the readings grew erratic, concern spread among the crew. Instruments faltered, recalibrating repeatedly without explanation. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. Something was out there, lurking just beyond the edge of perception. Initial investigations yielded little clarity. Whatever disrupted their instruments remained elusive, refusing to reveal itself. Hypotheses ranged from rogue asteroids emitting electromagnetic pulses to quantum phenomena affecting spacetime. Yet none fully explained the strange patterns observed. Every attempt to pinpoint the source ended in frustration. Data logs showed inconsistencies that defied logic, forcing the team to question whether their equipment was malfunctioning or if something far stranger was at play. Tension mounted as hours passed without resolution. The crew gathered in the command center, poring over charts and projections. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the soft hum of machinery and occasional murmurs of speculation. Each face bore traces of fatigue, eyes reflecting both determination and mounting dread. This wasn't supposed to happen, not this soon, not this inexplicably. And then it struck, the first sign of true danger. A sudden jolt rippled through the ship, throwing everyone off balance. Alarms blared as systems flickered unpredictably. Lights dimmed momentarily before surging back to full brightness. Panic surged briefly before discipline took hold. Training kicked in as hands flew to control panels, stabilizing vital functions. When calm returned, confusion reigned supreme. No external impact had registered. No debris field appeared on radar. Nothing tangible accounted for the disturbance. What followed chilled them to the core. Footage from external cameras showed nothing unusual initially, just the endless stretch of stars and swirling nebulae. But upon closer inspection, anomalies emerged. Shadows shifted unnaturally, moving independently of light sources. Objects outside the hull appeared distorted, warping as though viewed through heat haze. Most disturbingly, certain frames captured fleeting glimpses of something. Indistinct forms darting just beyond visibility. Were they hallucinations brought on by stress? Or proof of an unseen presence stalking them? Fear began to seep into daily operations. Sleep became fragmented, plagued by nightmares born of uncertainty. Meals were eaten quickly and silently. Conversations reduced to terse exchanges of information. Trust wavered, not between crewmates, but within themselves. Was it paranoia gripping their minds, or genuine intuition warning of impending doom? Lines blurred until reality itself felt precarious. Determined to regain control, the captain ordered a thorough diagnostic sweep of the entire vessel. Every system, every compartment, every inch of wiring underwent scrutiny. Engineers worked tirelessly, dismantling panels and rerouting circuits. Their efforts uncovered no mechanical faults, no signs of sabotage. Everything functioned perfectly, which somehow made matters worse. If not hardware failure, then what? Meanwhile, scientists analyzed environmental data collected during the incident. Spectral readings revealed peculiar energy signatures unlike anything documented before. Peaks and troughs danced erratically, forming patterns too complex to interpret easily. Yet amidst the chaos lay hints of structure, mathematical precision underlying apparent randomness. Someone, or something, was manipulating these forces deliberately. Speculation ran rampant. Could it be remnants of ancient civilizations long extinct, leaving behind automated defenses? Perhaps natural phenomena misunderstood due to lack of context? Or maybe, just maybe, it was intelligent life actively engaging with them. The idea electrified some while terrifying others. Contact with extraterrestrial beings had always been humanity's ultimate aspiration. Now, faced with the prospect, doubt gnawed at resolve. What if contact meant hostility rather than harmony? As uncertainty deepened, so did desperation. Solutions proposed ranged from drastic course corrections to deploying experimental shielding technologies. None guaranteed success, most carried significant risks. Time weighed heavily on decision-making, each passing moment amplifying pressure. Patience frayed, tempers flared. Unity threatened to crumble under strain. Finally, consensus emerged around one plan: activate cloaking protocols temporarily disabled since launch. Designed primarily for stealth missions near hostile territories, the system rendered the ship nearly invisible to conventional detection methods. Though resource-intensive, it offered potential protection against whatever pursued them. With little else to lose, activation commenced cautiously. Almost immediately, results proved promising. Fluctuations ceased, stabilizing internal systems. External disturbances vanished from view. Relief washed over the crew, tentative yet palpable. Had they outsmarted their adversary? Escaped its grasp entirely? Hope dared to bloom again. But hope proved premature. Within hours, subtler changes manifested. Microscopic fractures appeared along structural supports. Air filters clogged unexpectedly despite pristine surroundings. Power drains occurred sporadically, draining reserves faster than anticipated. Worst of all, psychological effects intensified. Voices whispered faintly in empty corridors. Shadows lengthened unnaturally. Illusions tormented even the strongest wills. Realization dawned slowly, painfully. Cloaking hadn't deterred their pursuer, it had adapted. Enhanced invisibility countered theirs, rendering defensive measures moot. Worse still, attacks escalated indirectly, targeting vulnerabilities impossible to predict. Fear morphed into outright terror as realization sank in. Escape wasn't feasible anymore. Survival depended solely on understanding and defeating an enemy operating wholly outside known paradigms. The realization that their adversary had adapted to their cloaking technology sent shockwaves through the crew. What began as a desperate attempt to shield themselves had inadvertently escalated the threat, pushing it into more insidious territory. The fractures in the ship's structure grew larger, and power drains became more frequent. It was as though the invisible force was probing them, testing their limits, learning their weaknesses. Every adjustment they made seemed to trigger a countermeasure from the unseen enemy. The psychological toll worsened. Crew members reported hearing faint whispers, voices that sounded neither human nor mechanical but something entirely alien. At first, these were dismissed as fatigue-induced hallucinations. But when multiple people heard the same sounds at the same time, doubt crept in. Were these auditory distortions part of the attack? Or were they attempts at communication? The ambiguity only deepened their unease. Scientific analysis revealed another chilling detail. The energy signatures detected earlier now mirrored the ship's own systems. The alien presence wasn't just adapting, it was mimicking. This revelation forced the crew to reconsider everything they thought they knew about their opponent. If the entity could replicate their technology, what else might it be capable of? Could it infiltrate the ship itself, bypassing physical barriers entirely? To combat this, the team devised a new strategy, creating decoys. Using spare parts and repurposed equipment, they constructed dummy modules designed to emit false energy signals. These decoys were scattered around the ship's exterior, intended to confuse and distract the enemy. It was a risky gambit. If successful, it might buy them time to devise a more permanent solution. If not, it could accelerate the attacks, leaving them even more vulnerable. The deployment of the decoys marked a turning point. For several hours after activation, the ship experienced relative calm. Systems stabilized, power reserves held steady, and the eerie whispers faded into silence. Relief washed over the crew, tentative but palpable. Perhaps they had finally gained the upper hand. But the respite was short-lived. Sensors soon picked up activity near the decoys. Energy readings spiked erratically, followed by bursts of radiation strong enough to fry nearby electronics. Cameras mounted on the decoys transmitted garbled footage before going dark entirely. Whatever was out there wasn't just attacking, it was experimenting. Each decoy served as a test subject, dissected and dismantled with surgical precision. What remained of the transmissions painted a horrifying picture. Faint outlines flickered across the screens, distorted shapes shimmering like heat waves. They moved with unnatural speed and agility, defying the laws of physics. Some appeared to stretch and contort, while others vanished entirely, only to reappear elsewhere moments later. It was as if the creatures existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, slipping in and out of reality at will. The implications were staggering. If these beings could manipulate space-time itself, conventional weapons would be useless against them. The crew realized they weren't dealing with mere predators. They faced an intelligence so advanced it bordered on godlike. Yet, for all its power, the entity remained elusive, refusing to reveal its true form or intentions. Was it curious? Hostile? Or simply indifferent to their plight? With traditional defenses rendered obsolete, the crew turned to unconventional methods. One scientist proposed using sound waves as a means of detection. Since the creatures emitted energy signatures, perhaps sonic frequencies could disrupt their invisibility fields, rendering them visible. It was a long shot, but desperation bred innovation. Using modified speakers installed throughout the ship, they broadcast a range of frequencies, starting low and gradually increasing intensity. At first, nothing happened. The ship remained eerily quiet, save for the hum of machinery. Then, as the pitch rose, vibrations began rippling through the air. Panels rattled, loose objects trembled, and the very walls seemed to shudder. And then, suddenly, it worked. In one corner of the command center, a faint shimmer appeared, a distortion in the air, like ripples on water. As the frequency intensified, the shimmer solidified into a vaguely humanoid shape. Its features were indistinct, blurred as though viewed through frosted glass. But it was there. After days of uncertainty, they finally had proof. Their enemy was real. The creature reacted violently to the exposure. It lashed out, sending a shockwave that shattered nearby equipment and knocked several crew members off their feet. Before anyone could react, it dissolved back into invisibility, retreating into the shadows. Though fleeting, the encounter confirmed two critical facts. The sound waves could make the creatures visible, and they did not take kindly to being seen. Armed with this knowledge, the crew refined their approach. They adjusted the frequency range to target specific energy patterns associated with the creatures, making the process more efficient. Portable emitters were constructed, allowing them to deploy the technology anywhere on the ship. For the first time since the ordeal began, they felt a glimmer of control returning. But visibility alone wasn't enough. Knowing where the enemy was didn't solve the problem of how to neutralize it. Firearms proved ineffective. Bullets passed harmlessly through the shimmering forms, dissipating into thin air. Electromagnetic pulses caused momentary disruptions, but failed to inflict lasting damage. Even containment chambers lined with reflective materials couldn't hold the creatures for long. Frustration mounted as each attempt fell short. Tempers flared during planning sessions, voices rising in heated debate. Accusations flew, blame shifting between departments. Unity fractured under the weight of failure. Yet, amidst the chaos, one idea emerged, a theory so radical it bordered on madness. One astrophysicist suggested harnessing quantum entanglement to create a localized field capable of trapping the creatures. By linking particles within the field, they could theoretically freeze the entities in place, preventing them from shifting dimensions. It was untested, highly experimental, and carried significant risk. But with no other options left, the crew agreed to proceed. Building the quantum entanglement device required resources they barely had. Components were scavenged from secondary systems, cannibalizing non-essential functions to prioritize survival. Sleep became a luxury few could afford as the team worked tirelessly, driven by sheer determination. When the device was finally assembled, it resembled a crude amalgamation of wires, circuits, and glowing crystals. Despite its ungainly appearance, initial tests showed promise. A small-scale trial successfully immobilized a drone programmed to mimic the creature's movements. Encouraged by the results, the crew prepared for deployment. They chose a section of the ship heavily damaged by previous attacks, reasoning it would attract the creature's attention. The area was sealed off, isolating it from the rest of the vessel. Once ready, the quantum field generator was activated, bathing the chamber in pulsating light. Minutes passed in tense anticipation. Then, slowly, the distortions appeared again, faint at first, then growing stronger. Multiple forms materialized, writhing and twisting as they struggled against the field. Their movements grew sluggish, almost sluggish, until they froze entirely. Trapped, the creatures emitted a high-pitched screech that reverberated through the ship, setting teeth on edge. For the first time, the crew dared to hope. They had found a way to fight back. Victory, however, came at a cost. Maintaining the quantum field drained power reserves at an alarming rate. Backup generators kicked in, but even those wouldn't last indefinitely. Worse still, the trapped creatures began emitting bursts of energy, destabilizing the field. Cracks formed along its edges, threatening to release them. Desperate to stabilize the situation, the crew initiated a controlled overload. By channeling excess energy into the field, they hoped to reinforce it temporarily. The plan worked, but only partially. While the field held, the surge overloaded nearby systems, plunging parts of the ship into darkness. Communication lines faltered, life support wavered, and navigation controls flickered uncertainly. In the chaos, one crew member made a startling discovery. Analyzing data from the trapped creatures revealed traces of organic matter interwoven with their energy signatures. This wasn't purely technological, it was biological. The creatures weren't machines or constructs. They were living beings, albeit unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. This revelation shifted the narrative. If the creatures were alive, perhaps communication was possible. Efforts shifted toward decoding their energy patterns, searching for patterns akin to language. Progress was slow, hindered by limited resources and mounting pressure. Yet, amid the despair, a fragile thread of optimism emerged. Understanding might, yet pave the way to peace. As decoding efforts continued, tensions aboard the Odyssey reached a breaking point. Confined spaces, dwindling supplies, and constant fear eroded morale. Arguments erupted frequently, trust frayed, and paranoia took root. Small acts of sabotage hinted at growing dissent, tools misplaced, data logs tampered with, rumors spreading unchecked. Leadership struggled to maintain order, torn between addressing immediate crises and preserving cohesion. Against this backdrop, breakthroughs came unexpectedly. Patterns within the creature's energy emissions aligned loosely with mathematical constants, suggesting a universal framework underlying their communication. Building on this foundation, the team developed algorithms to translate their signals into comprehensible formats. Initial results yielded fragmented phrases, abstract concepts like boundary, presence, and absence. These fragments sparked intense debate. Did the terms represent warnings, declarations of intent, or mere reflections of the creature's perception of reality? Without context, interpretation remained speculative. Still, the possibility of dialogue ignited renewed determination. If understanding could bridge the gap between species, salvation might lie within reach. Simultaneously, engineers worked feverishly to stabilize the ship's failing systems. Repairs progressed haltingly, hampered by resource scarcity and fluctuating power levels. Morale dipped further as setbacks compounded. Yet, amid the gloom, resilience endured. Each challenge overcome, no matter how minor, fueled resolve to persevere. Communication efforts bore fruit sooner than expected. By feeding translated phrases back into the quantum field, the crew established rudimentary interaction. Responses came hesitantly at first, cautious and measured. Over time, exchanges grew more fluid, revealing glimpses of the creature's perspective. Their motivations proved complex. Far from mindless aggressors, they viewed the Odyssey as an intruder violating sacred boundaries. Their attacks stemmed not from malice, but from instinctual defense mechanisms triggered by perceived threats. To them, the ship's presence disrupted delicate balances maintained over millennia. Understanding this, the crew formulated a bold proposal: withdrawal. Rather than continuing their mission, they offered to leave the region entirely, vowing never to return. The gesture required immense humility, acknowledging humanity's insignificance in the grand scheme of things. Yet, it represented their best chance at resolution. Negotiations unfolded painstakingly, fraught with misunderstandings and misinterpretations. Patience became paramount, both sides navigating unfamiliar terrain. Slowly, agreements crystallized. In exchange for safe passage, the creatures promised cessation of hostilities. Terms accepted, preparations commenced for departure. Leaving proved easier said than done. Damaged systems necessitated extensive repairs before the Odyssey could achieve escape velocity. With the creatures monitoring closely, haste risked reigniting conflict. Precision replaced urgency, every action deliberate and calculated. Repairs proceeded cautiously, bolstered by newfound cooperation. Quantum field remnants assisted in stabilizing structural integrity, while energy reserves replenished incrementally. Navigation recalibrated, plotting a course clear of contested zones. Tension lingered, tempered by cautious optimism. Departure day arrived amidst a mix of relief and apprehension. Engines roared to life, propelling the ship away from danger. Behind them, the creatures watched silently, ensuring compliance with agreed terms. Distance widened steadily, separating worlds irreconcilably different yet bound by shared experience. Reflection set in as the Odyssey drifted further from peril. Lessons learned transcended survival, reshaping perspectives profoundly. Humanity's place in the cosmos felt humbler, yet infinitely richer. Journey home brought introspection. Stories recounted events vividly, cementing memories indelibly. Bonds forged through adversity strengthened, uniting survivors irrevocably. Challenges faced together fostered camaraderie, transcending individual roles. Scientific insights gleaned revolutionized understanding. Data collected spurred advancements across disciplines, heralding breakthroughs unimaginable prior. Fear morphed into fascination, curiosity replacing caution. Yet scars remained, reminders of battles fought and sacrifices made. Losses weighed heavily, tempering triumphs achieved. Grief intertwined with gratitude, shaping legacies enduring beyond lifetimes. Narratives crafted inspired future generations, fueling dreams of exploration tempered by wisdom earned. Stars beckoned anew, promises awaiting fulfillment. Arrival home greeted heroes weary but resolute. Tales told captivated audiences worldwide, sparking wonder and reflection alike. Legacy secured, journeys awaited anew. Hope endured, buoyed by resilience demonstrated. Darkness illuminated paths forward, guiding steps uncertain yet steadfast. Together, horizons expanded, embracing mysteries infinite. Subscribe today, join Odysseys Untold. Beyond stars, adventures await, you're invited.